Superboy Prime betrayed Superman himself to fight beside the evil Legion of Darkseid. And today we're finally explaining what happened next because the new issue is finally here. Peak fiction incoming. So as we all know, the Absolute Universe has now started bleeding into DC's main universe, but when Superboy Prime and Superman traveled to the future together to help different teams of Legionnaires from different universes fight against Darkseid's Legion, they realized they were too late the very instant they arrived because Darkseid's Legion had already killed about 90% of the Legionnaires. And the Legionnaires that were still alive were stripped of any ounce of hope that they were trying to hold on to, fully convinced that they were destined for defeat at the hands of Darkseid. But soon enough, they were given a sliver of confidence when Superman praised them for their selfless acts while putting their lives on the line as the heroes of the future. They may have lost the battle, but the war was far from being settled. So they banded together to take one last shot at finding Booster Gold and stopping the Dark Legion, but eventually, in the midst of closing in on Booster's location, Superboy Prime realized they were walking amongst a wolf in sheep's clothing. Realizing that Cosmic Boy wasn't actually Cosmic Boy, but instead a version of Chameleon that was loyal to Darkseid, who upon being compromised, murdered Brainiac 5 without a moment's hesitation by turning his arm into a spear and jamming it through his chest. So Superboy Prime and the Legion began the process of trying to neutralize him, while Superman himself was overcome by so much rage that he began flying all over the place, demanding Darkseid to show himself. However, instead of running into Darkseid, he'd eventually come across where they were keeping Booster Gold, so he quickly relieved him of his shackles, stressing that they needed to get out of there as soon as possible, only to run into Darkseid's Legion just a few moments later, where not only was Booster Gold blasted onto the ground by Lightning Lad, but Superman was strangled by his neck before being lifted into the air when Superboy Prime revealed that he was joining Darkseid's forces. This issue, on the other hand, picks up during that exact same moment, but with Saturn Girl telling Superman her backstory as Superboy Prime continued to strangle him. So Saturn Girl was from a planet called Titan that was ruled by a powerful race of telepaths known as the Titanians. But eventually her planet broke out into war upon being attacked by another civilization from a different planet known as Brel. And just like the Titanians, the Brellians were incredibly powerful, but instead of having powers of telepathy, they wielded powers of magnetism. So eventually Saturn Girl willingly joined the war, killing one Brellian after another, but she was so dangerous, bloodthirsty, and ruthless that her success on the battlefield was rewarded with solitary confinement because her power was feared by her own people that deemed her to be too dangerous of a person to be out and about. But while she was locked away, she began to hear a voice, and a voice from that of none other than Darkseid himself. And with each day that passed, the voice grew louder and louder and louder until eventually telling her the secrets of everything, including Absolute Superman and everyone else who Darkseid believed was threatening his power. Now, it wasn't long